As we build our to-do list applications, we need to look at more data types that was skipped because of the lecture was getting too long. But I'm just going to go through some of those data types real quick. Now, the first one that we're going to look at is the Boolean. So the Boolean operator. And I told you last time a Boolean is either true or false. So for example, we could have is an adult. Now notice the convention in writing booleans. So it's mostly somehow a question, something like is logged in, is logged out. And look at, I didn't come and say is an adult because those are separate words and it's not going to be allowed. So if you write is an adult, it's also forgiving to write like this, but actually you can't understand this at face value, right? You don't actually know what is this. So the best way to in JavaScript, the convention is to use camel casing. So the first word is going to be all lowercase, then the first letter of the next word will be capitalized, and then so followed by like that. So everything like this, right? So this is the convention for writing variables in JavaScript. So just get this at the back of your mind. So we have is an adult, and we can set it to true, or we can set it to false. So if I log to the console is an adult and save that, run it again, and you can see we get false. If I come and say true, we get true. So now there are other data types that we could look at. For example, we have let's say unborn child name. Now we don't know if it's gonna be successful, so we could just say undefined, right? Then we have number of people absent. We don't know it for now, so we're just gonna say null. So now the difference between undefined and null is that the variable is actually not defined. So take for example, if I create a variable called test, I'm just gonna comment the rest of this code and explain the difference between undefined and null. So if I log this to the console, if I log test to the console, and we're gonna get undefined. So any unassigned variable or any content that is not assigned, it could be an object, it could be an array, it could be other things, that other data types, but let's just focus on unassigned variable. So how do you create an assigned variable? Is when you say, for example, var test, and we say okay, test. So if we log to the console, we're going to get test, right? But now in this case, we're just creating the variable for later use. We're actually not assigning anything to it, so the default value is going to be undefined. So now undefined, the difference between undefined and null is that if I set this to null and save that, we're going to get null, right? So now the difference between null and undefined is that null is another word for empty or void. So if let's say you have a function that doesn't return anything, the return value automatically is null or void or empty, but the data type for it is null. So we have null checkers, which we're gonna dive more into all these, but for now I just want to get them out of the way, so when we actually treat them, it doesn't sound foreign to anyone. But just know an unassigned variable is undefined, and a variable that doesn't exist will actually throw an error. But let's just see what that is, and that throws an error because it's not defined. But in this case, the variable is actually defined, but it is not assigned. Okay, so just get that at the back of your mind. And the other thing I just wanted to discuss quickly is comparisons. So comparisons, we could do comparisons in JavaScript. For example, we have, let's say, sum. we could start with sum and we say 12 plus 3, and if I log to the console, we should get 15. So let's try that out, and we get 15. We could try another one, let's say minus, and we could say 13 minus 2, and that should give us 11. So now the cool thing is we could actually log multiple things to the console. So we could say sum and we could say minus. So just separate by commas, and if I log this, we can see we get 15 and we get 11. So there's other things like floor division. All you need to do is just to use the modulus operator, which is like a floor division. So it will return the remainder. So just say remainder. So when we divide 13, when we divide 13 13 by 2, the remainder should be 1. So we should get 1 as our answer, and we got 1 here. So that is the floor division. So we also have divide. We could try divide if I could have that right. Yeah, so we have divide, and that should be, I believe, 6.5. Yeah, so we get 6.5. So we could perform mathematical operators, and we could also do comparison. So let's just say is even. For example, to know if a number is even, we could actually use the floor operator. So we want to see if 13 modulus 2, let's do that, and let's say if it's equal to, now to do this, to say equal to, sorry, let's do it with 0. So you want to know if this number is even, right? So we want to say if we floor divide 13, are we going to have 0? If so, that will tell us if 13 is actually an even number, right? But now we can't actually do equal to like this, because this is actually an assignment operator. So the equal to sign is an assignment operator, and to check for equality you need to use double minus equal to sign. I don't know why I'm saying minus sign. So the moment I save that, now we're gonna see when we floor divide 13 by 2, do we get 0? So if we get 0, we know then that is actually an even number. So let's just log is even over here to know if 13 is actually an even number. So I'm just going to run it again, and we see we got false, because whenever we floor divide 13 by 2, we get 1 as the remainder. So that is actually not an even number. So we have 12, and we see that 12 is actually an even number. We could try 2. 2 is an even number. If we try 1, 1 is an odd number, so we get false. So you could see that we could actually generate booleans dynamically, because this is actually not a true or false statement, but based on the comparisons that we're doing, we got a boolean at the end. And you can see if I hover, we see that the data type for is even is a boolean. Now the other thing I want to do is to show you type comparison, and I won't type that here, I just want to show you that quickly. So I'm just going to say node and hit enter, and that will return a REPL for me where I can actually do some stuff with JavaScript. But I just want to show you guys something real quick. So remember, this checks for equality, right? But now if I do something like this, 3 is equal to 3, I get true. Now why is that? Because this is actually a number and this is a string. But why did I get true? It's because this only checks for equality. It doesn't actually check for type. So there's no type checking there. So for example, if I say type of 3, I'm going to get number. If I say type of 3 with a string, with a quotes, it's going to give me a string. So that means this checked for equality, not equality and data type. So how do we do that? We can use the triple equal to check for type and equality, and you can see that yes, they are equal because 3 and 3 is 3, but are they of the same data type? Then that's false. So we got that. Another thing I want to get out of the way is we could actually escape characters. So for example, if I say hey, or no, let's use something like this. I am Caleb. So you see that worked, right? But now let's try something like this. I am Caleb. And there's an error because now this actually ended the string and there's no beginning for this. So we could actually escape that by doing this. So we have I, then we have a backslash, then the character we want to escape, and we can see that once I do this, I get that back. But now when the interpreter is printing it back to me, it's actually made it to appear in double quotes. So that's just all for data types. Then in the next lecture, we're going to start building on our to-do list application. I promise you we're going to start building it from the next lecture. See you soon.